single stone circle might track solar cycles, lunar phases, planetary conjunctions, stellar precession, and galactic alignment, all within the same architectural framework. This suggests a sophisticated understanding not just of individual celestial mechanics, but of how various cosmic cycles interact and influence each other over different timescales. The more we examine these ancient sites with modern instruments, the more precise their astronomical alignments become. Ground-penetrating radar at Giza has revealed additional chambers and passageways that seem designed to channel starlight at specific times of year. The Great Pyramid's internal chambers align with Orion, Draco, and Sirius in ways that create what archaeoastronomers call stellar clocks, marking important cosmic events. But it's not just pointing toward these constellations. The pyramid shafts are angled to intersect the precise positions these stars held during specific historical periods. The southern shaft from the King's Chamber targets Orion's belt as it appeared around 2500 BC, while the northern shaft points to Draco's alpha star, Thuban, which served as the pole star during the pyramid's construction period. But here's what's particularly intriguing. The Queen's Chamber shafts point to the same constellations as they would have appeared during a much earlier epoch, around 10,500 BC. It's as if the pyramid's builders were encoding multiple time periods into a single structure. But it's not just the monuments themselves. The mathematical relationships embedded in these structures reflect knowledge of advanced geometry and physics that shouldn't have been available to ancient cultures. The Great Pyramid's dimensions encode the value of pi to 15 decimal places, the golden ratio, and even the speed of light when calculated using ancient qubits. The base perimeter divided by the height yields pi with remarkable precision, while the ratio of the pyramid's height to its base perimeter matches the ratio of the Earth's radius to its circumference. The Antikythera mechanism, discovered in a Roman shipwreck off the Greek coast, contains gear ratios that precisely model the orbital periods of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, along with lunar cycles and eclipse predictions extending decades into the future. X-ray tomography has revealed that this device used differential gearing and pin and slot mechanisms that weren't rediscovered until 18th century clockmaking. The level of precision in the bronze gears rivals modern Swiss watchmaking. Recent satellite imagery and LiDAR scans have revealed even more intriguing patterns hidden beneath vegetation and centuries of accumulated Earth. In the Amazon rainforest, archaeologists have discovered geometric earthworks covering thousands of square miles, all aligned to cardinal directions and astronomical events. These geoglyphs form perfect squares, circles, and complex geometric patterns visible only from above, suggesting sophisticated surveying knowledge and coordinated construction across vast distances. The Blythe intaglios in California's Colorado desert stretch for miles across the landscape, forming human and animal figures that can only be properly viewed from aircraft. Carbon dating of organic materials found within the figures suggests they're at least 1,000 years old, created long before humans had any reason to build ground markings designed for aerial viewing. What makes this particularly interesting to consider is how these discoveries keep pushing back the timeline of human technological capability. The Göbekli Tepe complex in Turkey, dated to around 9,500 BC, features massive stone pillars weighing up to 20 tons, arranged in precise circles that track stellar movements. The pillars are carved with sophisticated animal reliefs and abstract symbols that appear to represent constellations. This predates Stonehenge by several thousand years and challenges our assumptions about when humans developed the organizational skills and astronomical knowledge needed for such projects. The site was deliberately buried under tons of earth around 8000 BC, as if someone wanted to preserve it for future discovery. Recent excavations have revealed that Göbekli Tepe is just one part of a much larger complex extending for miles underground. Ground-penetrating radar indicates dozens of similar circular structures still waiting to be excavated. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis adds another layer to this puzzle. Geological evidence suggests that around 10,800 years ago, our planet was struck by fragments from a disintegrating comet. The Younger Dryas boundary layer contains elevated levels of platinum, nanodiamonds, and other materials consistent with extraterrestrial impact. The event would have caused massive wildfires, flash-frozen temperatures, and worldwide flooding as ice sheets rapidly melted. This timing coincides remarkably well with the flood myths preserved in ancient texts and the astronomical dates encoded in megalithic monuments. It also matches the period when many large mammal species went extinct in North America, and when human cultures around the world seem to have undergone dramatic changes in their technological and social development. Some researchers have proposed that survivors of this catastrophe might have possessed advanced knowledge that they desperately needed to preserve for future generations. Stone monuments would have been one of the few technologies capable of surviving such a disaster while maintaining precise astronomical information across thousands of years. The knowledge might have been encoded in mythological stories, architectural proportions, and celestial alignments designed to be rediscovered when humanity had developed the tools to properly interpret them. Modern space agencies have begun taking these ancient astronomical alignments seriously. NASA's Kepler mission discovered that many exoplanets orbit their stars in patterns that would create similar alignment phenomena when viewed from great distances. This suggests that celestial mechanics might naturally produce the kinds of rhythmic patterns that our ancestors seemed so determined to track and preserve. When you start looking at these ancient sites through the lens of modern astronomical surveys, some truly puzzling patterns emerge. Many of the star systems that these monuments seem to celebrate turn out to be exactly the kinds of places where we're now finding potentially habitable exoplanets. Sirius, which figures prominently in Egyptian, Dogon, and Mesopotamian astronomy, is a binary star system that recent studies suggest could have planets in its habitable zone, despite the complex gravitational dynamics involved. The Dogon people of Mali have particularly detailed knowledge of Sirius that predates telescopic astronomy by centuries. They describe Sirius as a binary system with a small, dense companion star that orbits every 50 years. Information that wasn't confirmed by Western astronomy until the mid-19th century, when Sirius B was finally observed through powerful telescopes. The Dogon also claim that Sirius B is made of extremely dense material, a description that matches what we now know about white dwarf stars. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. The Dogon speak of a third star in the Sirius system, Sirius C, which hasn't been officially confirmed by modern astronomy, but which some researchers believe they've detected through gravitational influences on the other two stars. The Dogon describe this star as having planets, including one that was the original home of their ancestors before they came to Earth. The Pleiades star cluster, revered by cultures from the Maya to the Aboriginal Australians to the ancient Greeks, is now known to be a stellar nursery where new planetary systems are actively forming. Astronomers have detected the chemical signatures of water vapor and organic compounds in the nebular material surrounding these young stars. The cluster is also home to several brown dwarf objects that could potentially support planetary systems of their own. What's fascinating is that many ancient cultures claim exactly 7 visible stars in the Pleiades, even though most people today can only see 6 with the naked eye under normal viewing conditions. Astronomical records show that one of the stars, Pleione, was significantly brighter in ancient times due to its variable nature, which would explain why ancient observers consistently counted 7 stars where we now see 6. But here's where it gets really intriguing. When SETI researchers map the directions that our most sensitive radio telescopes are pointed during major listening projects, they often align with the same star systems that ancient monuments seem to emphasize. The Arecibo message, humanity's most famous attempt to communicate with extraterrestrial intelligence, was beamed toward the Hercules constellation, specifically the globular cluster M13. Ancient sites in Peru and Bolivia show clear alignments with this same region of sky. Recent discoveries by the Kepler Space Telescope and the Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite have identified several star systems that exhibit unusual dimming patterns. These stars, including KIC 8462-852, commonly known as Tabby's star, show brightness fluctuations that don't match any known natural phenomena. The dimming appears to be caused by large structured objects passing in front of the stars, leading to speculation about possible artificial megastructures. Tabby's star shows irregular dimming events that can reduce its brightness by up to 20%, far more than would be caused by any known planetary transit. The dimming patterns are asymmetric and don't repeat in regular cycles, suggesting that whatever is blocking the starlight is not a simple orbiting body. Some of the dimming events last for weeks or months, indicating objects of enormous size. What makes this worth pondering is how these anomalous stars are distributed across the sky. They're not randomly scattered, but seem to cluster in regions that correspond to ancient astronomical alignments. The Giza pyramids point toward Orion, where we've now detected several stars with unexplained dimming patterns. Angkor Wat aligns with Draco, a constellation that contains multiple candidates for artificial transit signals. The phenomenon isn't limited to visible light. Radio telescope arrays have been detecting what astronomers call fast radio bursts from deep space since 2007. These are incredibly powerful energy pulses that last only milliseconds but release more energy than our sun produces in days. Most appear to be natural astrophysical events, possibly related to neutron star collisions or black hole activity, but a small percentage repeat, in patterns that some researchers find intriguingly regular. The repeating FRB 121102, detected by the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment, shows a 157-day cycle that matches no known stellar or orbital mechanics. It pulses for roughly 90 days, falls silent for 67 days, then begins the pattern again with clockwork precision. This kind of regular timing is exactly what you'd expect from an artificial beacon designed to get the attention of other technological civilizations. Even more intriguing is FRB 180916, which appears to transmit in mathematical sequences. The burst intervals follow prime numbers, Fibonacci sequences, and other mathematical patterns that would be instantly recognizable to any technological civilization. While these could still be natural phenomena we don't yet understand, the mathematical precision is difficult to explain through known astrophysical processes. When you map the source directions of these anomalous signals against ancient star maps preserved in megalithic sites, correlations begin to emerge that make you wonder if our ancestors were somehow aware of the same cosmic phenomena that our most advanced instruments are just beginning to detect. The statistical probability of these correlations being purely coincidental becomes increasingly difficult to dismiss as the number of matching alignments grows. Recent analysis of the WOW signal, the famous 72-second radio transmission detected in 1977, has revealed that it originated from a region of sky that corresponds precisely to ancient Sumerian star maps, depicting the constellation Sagittarius. The signal's frequency matched the hydrogen line, the most logical choice for interstellar communication, and its intensity suggested an artificial origin from somewhere near the center of our galaxy. One possibility worth exploring is that our ancestors had direct contact with visitors from these highlighted star systems and built monuments to preserve the memory of that interaction. The ancient astronaut hypothesis suggests that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations visited Earth during prehistoric times and shared astronomical knowledge with early humans. This would explain both the precision of ancient alignments and the seemingly impossible construction techniques used in megalithic sites. Proponents point to mythological accounts of sky gods who descended from specific constellations and taught humans agriculture, mathematics, and astronomy before departing with promises to return. The Mesopotamian Anunnaki were said to come from the star Nibiru and to have created human civilization through genetic manipulation and cultural guidance. The Egyptian Neteru were associated with Orion and Sirius and were credited with introducing hieroglyphic writing, architectural knowledge, and astronomical calculation to early dynastic culture. The Hindu devas descended from various star systems mentioned in Vedic texts and established the cosmic order that governs both celestial mechanics and human society. The Aztec Quetzalcoatl came from the Pleiades and taught the principles of mathematics, astronomy, and calendar making before returning to the stars with the promise of eventual return. These stories might represent cultural memories of actual encounters rather than purely symbolic mythology. But there's another theory that's equally intriguing to consider. What if ancient humans possessed natural abilities to perceive cosmic influences that we've lost through thousands of years of technological dependence and urban living? Some researchers suggest that human consciousness might be sensitive to galactic magnetic fields, cosmic radiation patterns, or gravitational waves in ways that we don't yet understand scientifically, but that were more accessible to people living in closer harmony with natural rhythms. Studies of animal navigation have revealed that many species use quantum mechanics for biological processes that seemed impossible just decades ago. Birds navigate using quantum entanglement effects in specialized cells within their retinas, allowing them to literally see magnetic field lines as visual overlays on their normal vision. Certain bacteria orient themselves using Earth's magnetic field through microscopic magnetite crystals that function as biological compasses. Sea turtles can navigate across thousands of miles of open ocean by sensing subtle variations in the Earth's magnetic field, essentially reading the planet's magnetic fingerprint to determine their location. If biology can evolve quantum sensors for navigation and magnetic field detection, it's possible that human consciousness once operated on similar principles, but in ways connected to larger cosmic rhythms and galactic phenomena. Archaeological evidence suggests that many ancient cultures practiced forms of astronomy that went beyond mere observation and calculation. They spoke of reading the stars in ways that implied direct perception rather than instrumental measurement. Aboriginal Australians describe songlines that connect earthly landmarks to celestial phenomena through forms of knowledge that seem to transcend normal sensory perception. The simulation hypothesis offers yet another perspective that's gaining attention among both physicists and philosophers. If our universe is actually a sophisticated simulation run by advanced intelligences, then the astronomical alignments in ancient monuments might represent Easter eggs or hidden messages embedded in the program's code. The builders could have been unconsciously guided to create these patterns, or they might have been avatars controlled directly by the simulation's architects. This theory gains some support from the mathematical relationships found in both ancient monuments and fundamental physics. The same geometric ratios that appear in the Great Pyramid also show up in quantum mechanics equations, cosmological models, and the structure of DNA. The golden ratio appears throughout both ancient architecture and natural systems, from Nautilus shells to galaxy spirals. It's as if reality itself is built from a common mathematical foundation that ancient builders somehow intuited and expressed in stone. Recent developments in quantum physics have revealed that information can indeed be transmitted instantaneously across vast distances through quantum entanglement effects. While this doesn't violate the speed of light limit for matter and energy, it does suggest that consciousness might operate according to quantum principles that allow for non-local connections across space and time. The consciousness field theory proposed by researchers like Rupert Sheldrake and Dean Radin suggests that consciousness itself might be a fundamental property of the universe, similar to gravity or electromagnetism. If consciousness operates as a field that connects all matter and energy, then information could flow between minds across galactic distances without requiring physical transmission methods. This would mean that ancient humans could have accessed knowledge from advanced civilizations through what amounts to cosmic telepathy, downloading astronomical data and construction techniques directly into their consciousness. The monuments would then serve as physical anchors for this information, preserving it in material form for cultures that had lost the ability to access the consciousness field directly. Research into psychic phenomena and remote viewing, while controversial, has documented cases where individuals appear to obtain accurate information about distant locations and events through unknown means. Some of this research has been conducted under controlled scientific conditions by organizations like the Stanford Research Institute, and has produced results that are difficult to explain through conventional physics, suggesting that consciousness might indeed operate according to principles we don't yet fully understand. Of course, there are more conventional explanations for these ancient astronomical alignments that deserve serious consideration alongside the more speculative theories. Human beings have always been pattern-seeking creatures, and our brains are naturally wired to find meaningful connections even in random data. This cognitive bias, known as apophenia, could be causing us to see correlations between ancient sites and modern astronomical discoveries simply because we're actively looking for them. The precision of megalithic construction might be explained by the accumulated observations and mathematical insights of countless generations rather than advanced knowledge from external sources. If ancient cultures dedicated centuries or millennia to tracking celestial movements, they could have gradually developed the understanding needed to predict precession cycles and eclipse patterns through pure empirical observation and mathematical reasoning. Consider the social organization required for such long-term projects. Ancient societies that could maintain continuity of purpose across dozens of generations would naturally develop sophisticated astronomical knowledge. The construction of Stonehenge occurred in phases spanning over 1,500 years, with each generation adding refinements based on accumulated observations. This kind of sustained effort could produce remarkable precision without requiring supernatural or extraterrestrial intervention. Archaeological evidence shows that many ancient societies were far more sophisticated than popular history suggests. The Antikythera mechanism proves that Hellenistic Greeks possessed gear-cutting technology and mathematical models that were previously thought impossible for their time period. Similar devices might have existed in other cultures but were lost to time or haven't been discovered yet. We may be consistently underestimating the capabilities of ancient technologies and overestimating the mystery of their achievements. The apparent correlation between ancient star alignments and modern SETI targets could be explained by the fact that both ancient astronomers and contemporary scientists naturally focus on the brightest, most prominent stars visible from Earth. These stars would have been obvious targets for careful observation in any time period, making correlations between ancient and modern interests somewhat inevitable rather than meaningful. Bright stars like Sirius, the Pleiades cluster, and the stars of Orion's belt would naturally attract attention from any civilization developing astronomy, regardless of whether they held special significance. The fact that we're now finding potentially habitable exoplanets around some of these systems might simply reflect the bias toward studying the most visible and accessible stellar targets. Psychological factors also play a significant role in how we interpret ancient monuments and their possible meanings. The human tendency toward confirmation bias means that researchers who believe in ancient alien contact are more likely to emphasize evidence that supports their theories while downplaying data that contradicts them. Similarly, mainstream archaeologists might dismiss genuine anomalies because they don't fit established historical narratives about technological development. The media and popular culture have also influenced our perception of ancient mysteries, creating expectations of extraterrestrial involvement that color how we interpret archaeological evidence. The success of books and documentaries about ancient astronauts has created a market for mysterious explanations that might be more commercially appealing than mundane archaeological realities. The fast radio bursts and anomalous stellar dimming patterns that seem to correlate with ancient alignments might have perfectly natural explanations that we simply haven't discovered yet. The history of astronomy is filled with phenomena that appeared mysterious until new physical processes were understood. Pulsars were initially considered possible alien beacons until we realized they were rapidly rotating neutron stars. Quasars seemed impossibly energetic until we understood the physics of supermassive black holes. Climate and geological changes over thousands of years could have altered the apparent positions of ancient monuments relative to astronomical alignments. Ground-settling tectonic shifts and magnetic pole wandering might create the illusion of precision where none originally existed. Without knowing the exact original positions and orientations of these structures, it's difficult to determine how accurate their astronomical alignments actually were when they were built. The human need for meaning and connection might drive us to find cosmic significance in ancient monuments because it makes us feel less alone in the universe. If our ancestors were in contact with advanced civilizations, it suggests that humanity has always been part of a larger galactic community. This is a psychologically comforting thought in an age where we're increasingly aware of our planet's isolation in the vast emptiness of space. However, even these alternative explanations don't fully account for some of the more precise correlations and mathematical relationships found in ancient sites. The debate continues as new archaeological discoveries and astronomical observations provide fresh data for both skeptical and speculative interpretations. As we reach the end of tonight's journey through star maps and ancient stones, we're left with more questions than answers, and maybe that's exactly as it should be. The universe has a way of revealing its secrets slowly, in layers, like an archaeological dig that extends not just through Earth's soil, but through the depths of time and space itself. Each discovery opens new mysteries rather than closing old ones, suggesting that reality is far stranger and more interconnected than our current paradigms allow us to imagine. What strikes me most about this exploration is how it highlights the continuity of human curiosity across vast spans of time. Whether our ancestors were recording visits from star-traveling civilizations, preserving knowledge of cosmic cycles through intuitive wisdom developed over millennia, or simply doing what humans have always done, looking up at the night sky and wondering about our place in the larger story, they were asking the same fundamental questions that drive our space programs and SETI research today. The precision and sophistication of their monuments suggest that they took these questions seriously, dedicating enormous resources and spanning multiple generations to create permanent records of their astronomical observations and cosmic understanding. These weren't casual stargazers, but committed scientists and philosophers working within traditions that valued long-term thinking and preservation of knowledge across centuries. We're all part of the same cosmic conversation, separated by millennia but united by the desire to understand where we came from and whether we're alone in the universe. Every time we launch a space probe toward distant worlds, point our radio telescopes toward promising star systems, or decode the light from exoplanets searching for signs of life, we're continuing a tradition that began when the first human looked up at the stars and wondered what secrets they might hold. The monuments our ancestors left behind serve as a kind of bridge between their understanding and ours, connecting ancient wisdom with modern discovery in ways that suggest the relationship between humanity and the cosmos is far more complex than either purely materialistic or purely mystical explanations would suggest. Whether they were working from knowledge passed down by visitors from other worlds, tapping into consciousness fields that connect all intelligence across the galaxy, or simply demonstrating the incredible capabilities of human observation, mathematical reasoning, and social organization, they created something that still speaks to us across the vast gulf of time. These stone circles, pyramid chambers, and megalithic complexes represent more than just impressive engineering or sophisticated astronomy. They embody a worldview that saw humanity as intimately connected to cosmic processes, responsible for maintaining awareness of our place within galactic cycles that span thousands or millions of years. This perspective stands in stark contrast to modern civilization's tendency toward short-term thinking and disconnection from natural rhythms. In a sense, we're all ancient astronauts, riding a small, rocky planet through the galaxy at incredible speeds, trying to make sense of the cosmic environment around us while participating in the universe's apparent drive toward greater complexity and consciousness. Our ancestors used stone and starlight to record their observations and preserve their insights. We use silicon chips and electromagnetic radiation, but the fundamental quest remains the same: to understand our relationship with the larger universe and our responsibility within it. The questions raised by these ancient astronomical alignments invite us to think bigger about human potential and our cosmic heritage. If our ancestors possessed knowledge or abilities that we've forgotten, what might that mean for our future development as a species? If they were in contact with other intelligences, what can we learn from how they preserved and transmitted that relationship across generations? If they understood cosmic cycles that influence consciousness and civilization, how might we reconnect with those rhythms in our own time? As we stand on the edge of becoming a spacefaring civilization ourselves, perhaps the most important lesson from these ancient star maps is that the universe is far stranger, more interconnected, and more alive with possibility than our current scientific models suggest. The cosmos that our ancestors chronicled in stone circles and pyramid chambers might be teeming with intelligence, consciousness, and civilizations working on time scales that make our brief human lifespan seem like single heartbeats in a vast, slow conversation spanning galactic ages. The mathematical relationships, astronomical precisions, and technological capabilities demonstrated in these ancient sites suggest that human consciousness itself might be capable of far more than we currently imagine. Whether through direct perception of cosmic forces, access to universal information fields, or simply the accumulated wisdom of generations dedicated to understanding our place in the stars, our ancestors achieved things that challenge our assumptions about the limitations of human knowledge and capability. Tonight, when you step outside and look up at the same stars that guided our ancestors, remember that you're seeing not just distant suns, but possible homes to other minds, other civilizations, other beings who might be looking back at us across the galaxy and wondering the same things we wonder about them. In that shared curiosity, in that mutual search for meaning and connection, we find perhaps the most profound truth of all. That consciousness itself might be the universe's way of understanding itself. One question, one wonder, one moment of cosmic recognition at a time. The stars are still there, still calling to us, still holding their secrets, and we're still here, still listening, still reaching toward answers that might be written not just in the light of distant suns, but in the stones our ancestors left behind as guideposts for our own journey through the infinite mystery of space and time. In preserving their cosmic observations for us to rediscover, they may have given us the greatest gift of all, the knowledge that we are not alone, not in the universe and not in the search for our true place among the stars.